Welcome to the Marketing Main Podcast. I'm your host, Mapeus, and today on the show is Hendrix Nowells, social media manager here out of Dayton. Welcome to the show, Hendrix.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So tell me a little bit about this because, we're doing similar stuff, slightly different, but similar. So you walked in here one time and, told me we're doing social media marketing here in town too. Tell me a bit about like your way of doing stuff and, yeah.
I've been doing social media about 8 years, close to 9 years. I come out of a television news background. I was a photographer and an editor for several television stations around the United States. And when I got into social media, I started seeing a good way to transition to something else. I got out of television news. I had, as I said, been there, done that, and wanted to do something different. And social media was what was happening, still is what's happening. And one of the things that I brought when my first full-time job at social media was video. And I remember my then supervisor, after he had hired me, he said to me, he says, Hendrix, one of the reasons, or he said, the reason why I hired you is because all the other candidates we had spoken to, none of them mentioned video. I wanted to point out one thing, how things have changed very much in terms of how we view, how we learn things. We don't read anymore, we watch.
Right.
And I remember the first major thing I did for them, and I give you a quick story. The lady that I was replacing was still there for about 2 weeks before she left. So she's given me training, which I kind of say tongue in cheek because I'll tell you the story, of course. So she was just acclimating me to things like logging in and my timesheet, that type of thing. And one day she said, okay, I'm going to have you do the post for the day. I said, sure. The first thing I grabbed was a video. And she says, oh, no, don't do that. Don't put too much video up there. And of course, I did what she asked me to do. And I think I used a graphic that day. As soon as she left and it was okay, all of a sudden I had all the responsibilities, that's what I started to do. They didn't have video equipment there. The camera that they have was so old and antiquated, I didn't want to use it. And so I brought some of my gear from home and I shot a video. I worked for an automotive dealership, an auto group that had 3 different dealerships. And I shot a video kind of like a day in the life, a lot of natural sounds, we call nat sound, quick editing, very fast paced. I put it up on YouTube. I put it on Facebook and Twitter. And then I sent a link to the owners of the company and then also sent a link to my supervisor. A few minutes later, they came running into my office. Oh my God, you know how to do this? And I was like, well, yeah, this is my forte. Video is my forte. And then when I had to do my first report for social media, all the engagements, the reach, everything, the views, even looked at Google Analytics, the stats were through the roof. They had jumped like thousands of %. And that's where...
And that was like, what, 8 years ago?
This was 2016.
Okay. That's not so long ago.
No, not so long ago.
Still 6 years though.
Still 6 years. Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, I was like, oh, wait a second. That was a long time
That was a long time ago too.
Alrighty.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But that is what I started pushing for, or I pushed for.
Yep.
And I sat down and I had told my supervisor, I need some equipment. I need to be able to have cameras, microphones, tripods, lights, everything to really do what needs to be done on social media. And I went from, they had a YouTube channel. When I got there was roughly 200 to 300 views, period. When I left, it was 6.7 million.
Yeah.
And these are all videos that I shot and edited. But this is where social media is now, and it's going to stay there.
It's going to stay there. Yeah. I mean, there's a few things that I think will be interesting when it comes to like audio only. So that's pretty interesting to see with those like social media platforms like Clubhouse or, the adapters now, Twitter has Twitter Spaces, what is basically the same. It's like a built-in, Clubhouse into Twitter. LinkedIn has now audio events where you can set up an event if you're like considered a creator, right? Where it's basically the same. It's like you open up a room and it's audio only. People can come in and they, can be invited on stage and so. And I think that's going to be interesting to see, like where this is developing to. But then again, it's like that, Clubhouse thing. There was like an iOS only thing for the longest time, I think, and it was invite only for the first, I would say, 1.5 years or so. And it's very interesting the way people consume content there, because it's more, it's not so much a conversation only than a panel discussion, right? And it's as far as I'm considered, like the rooms I went through, it was particularly popular was Black community also. So it's a lot of Black speakers that got really big on that platform, and it was like interesting to see where this movement is going. And I mean, it's going down again a little bit, but those features are now available everywhere else too. So what do you think about that?
Everything's growing. Everything is growing. Look at Instagram Reels.
Right.
That just took off.
Right. But that's going more into the same direction as TikTok, right? So Instagram was like, okay, well, more video driven right now. I remember about like half a year, maybe like beginning of this year, when Instagram's CEO, he said like, hey, we're gonna go away from photos, but not totally, but we're gonna be a video centric platform now, but with the ability of posting stills, right? Posting carousels are pretty big still, right? If you post like multiple pictures, the way they are shown to you is also very interesting, because if you're a follower of mine, let's say, right, and I post a carousel, then you will be shown, that post multiple times, but each time was a different
image
of those pictures in the forefront. So that's something that is interesting too, because now you're like, okay, so how do we do this, that we're utilizing all those, new, old things, but like implementing the new stuff, like the videos, like the reels and the shorts and, the TikToks, however you want to call it. But then at the same time, I just heard that, TikTok now gives you the ability to also post photos and stills. So it's like, okay, are we going to go away and then the other platform is going towards it? Or, is it going to be like an audio platform on the side also? It's like, I don't really see those trends being like consistent, It's like Facebook is going to stay Facebook, right? Facebook is a totally different animal than all those other platforms that are more features of a platform than an actual platform, right?
I would agree.
So that's sometimes it's like hard to tell like where this is going now. Also, like with more and more platforms being available, right? It's like we're trying out new stuff too. We have this like other platform that is similar than TikTok. It's called Likey. Engagement there is through the roof. It's like I started I think just 3 weeks ago, and I'm already at like close to 1,000 followers there. We're getting like 500, 600 views per day, like likes, through the roof also. It's like, but the quality of content there is not where TikTok is yet. So I don't know about the algorithms. I'm more of a poster than a user of that platform, but it's like it's getting more and more and more and more and more. Where is it going to end, right? And then where's the next thing that is different than the other platform? Because right now, like everything is developing more towards like I want to be a TikTok too. But then TikTok is like developing away from that. So
people like features. People like new stuff. And after a while, I think people get bored. And so when something new comes out, they gravitate to it. You remember MySpace?
Yes, I do. I was big on MySpace.
Okay.
I have to say that.
Where'd they go?
Right.
No one says anything about them anymore.
I mean, like I still have Tom as my friend. This is like, I mean, for me, I'm a music person, right? So
I am too.
So I was, in the techno, sphere there in Europe in the 90s when it was like big. It's like the underground scene was bigger than the mainstream. back then. So,
Right.
I mean, not everything by itself, but like all together, it was bigger. And it, at some point, it just turned mainstream, right? So, but for me, you know, music was always like a big part of my life, you know, more on like behind the scenes than like in, you know, in front of like, I have been a DJ, I have produced 2 records, but that's it, right? I have more so been a producer, a promoter, like an event host and all those kind of things, a manager of bands and stuff like that, than I was actual in front of like, you know, on stage, right?
Right.
So, but MySpace was so big back then, especially for young artists that that was basically like the birthplace of like self-published artists, right?
Right.
Because suddenly they could record this and put it on the MySpace player, and it was so big. And you know, there was also the time when Pirate Bay and all those like, you know, stealing you know what I'm like this like file share platforms where like all the
Napster and
Napster
was a Limelight was another one.
I don't know about that, but you know, like those platforms, right, where everything, movies, like basically all of the you know, intellectual property of people was like available for free. It was not right, but you know, it was destroying the whole industry.
It was
like both.
It sure has.
It's like you know, like really the only place or the only company that actually fixed that was Apple, was the iPod and was iTunes. You know, suddenly it was like available for like $1. You know, why would I be like that person that steals from that Napster? Was like the quality being not that good, right?
Right, compressed
files, or even like the video, talking about videos and new movies. They came out, you know, on Napster first, basically. But the quality at some point was just so bad, you know, and then it was all available on iTunes. Right. You know, suddenly like streaming services became big. But like this whole deal was like, okay, so MySpace is now here. I can publish my music on a platform where millions of people have access to and can discover me.
Yes.
You know, I worked with a lot of A&R managers, you know, back then from Universal and like all the big record companies. And they were like, something big is happening. We just don't know how to deal with it yet.
It's like the elephant in the room.
Right.
And it happens and people are starting to go, oh my God, oh, you got the one side, oh, this is great because people hear my music. But you have the other side, the business side that says, I'm not getting money for this.
Right.
And that's where the pushback occurred. And of course, Apple came to the rescue and said, no, wait a minute, we're going to sell this for, what, $1 a tune or 99 cents a tune. But if you look at how this whole thing, how this thing is evolving or has evolved, and it's still evolving.
Right.
Because you have artists now, I'm just throw out one name that comes to mind. Justin Bieber. I guess he was some type of...
He was a YouTube star, right?
Okay, YouTube star. You have a lot of people who have been discovered on YouTube, on Instagram, and still are. And all of a sudden, because back in the day, you had to have someone take your demo tape and march it into that person in A&R and go, listen to this person. But it was like when I worked in television. We had a room, and when I worked in San Diego, there was a room full, a closet full of demo tapes from people everywhere because people want to be a reporter, people want to be an anchor. But now they can go, let me click on this YouTube channel, let me see what this person, let's see what they're producing, let's see what they're singing, whatever. It is an incredible what technology has done.
Right.
With social media, with the internet, I love what I see, but we also have to be careful because sometimes it can get out of control, i.e. what you were just talking about with the music industry. And
but that was like basically like the Wild West, right? It's like for a brief period of time of the internet, that was the Wild West. I mean, it's still available, but it corrected itself because people were more into quality than quantity. Right. It was not worth anything anymore.
Right.
I mean, that didn't put the record industry out of business. No. It was the technology that, you know, took a lot of money away from them when we talk about the major record labels, right?
Right.
Because suddenly the record labels that had kind of like a monopoly, the internet took that away from them. You know, I see it as the liberation of artists, right?
Right.
It was something good that happened. It was not something bad. It was something bad for the major record labels, but who cares anyways?
I think it more than anything, I believe it hurt the artists.
No, I don't think so. I think because now it's the same with business owners, right? The internet enabled more people. It has never been as easy to publish your book, publish your record, publish
True.
anything you want, build your business. You know, I mean, what do big corporations do? You know, they come up with a product and then they go to China and say, hey, produce this for me. I sell it at a huge markup, you know, here. And I'm not talking about, you know, proprietary products like, let's say, an Apple iPhone, right? They also have China produce that for them, right? But it's like, I'm not talking about those products. I'm talking about, you know, the $3 Walmart t-shirts. I'm talking about, you know, like all the commodities that you can buy for cheap at Target and Walmart and all that kind of stuff. Now you as a person, if you want to, without any money down, you go to Amazon right now, look up what are the best-selling products, then go to Alibaba and let them drop ship this. You never spend a dime on anything.
Right.
Anything, right? And this is the, you know, big corporations are still benefiting from that, like Amazon, for example, right?
Yes.
But this has been the enabler of the world that if you have a brain, right, and you want to, like, you have the ambition to do something on your own, you now can do that. Like, think back, not that long, 20 years. Let's do 2002.
Okay.
Right after the crash of the dot-com bubble, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right after 9/11 and all that kind of stuff that happened. You couldn't do that then.
No.
It was not possible.
No.
For the, you know, for average Joe, it was not possible. You needed to know people to do that.
Right.
You needed other people's money to do that. It was not that easy. And look at us now. Now it's like, through social media, most companies now are run like the small businesses, right? Small business relies on Facebook ads, Google ads,
Instagram,
but more so Facebook. Facebook ads has been a real, like, liberator of the people, especially in the Western world, in the United States, but as well in Europe, you know. So, and all over the world too. It's like now I can sell to the whole world.
Yes.
And I have the tools there, and they're available to me if I am coming from a good neighborhood. If it doesn't matter who I am, where I come from, you know, the only thing that matters now is, like, where do you want to go?
In the internet, i.e. social media, you're no longer a brick and mortar that is in one location. You're not local, you're national, and you're international. I got a phone call from a guy who owns a internet radio station. And I was asking him some things about his Google Analytics. I says, where is your audience coming from? He says, all over. I said, that's great. I said, because anybody can listen to you. And he's 20, of course, he's a radio station, so he's 24/7. So what the internet and social media has done, and just like you were saying, it's given people the opportunity to make money in areas that was never possible 20 years ago. I have a friend whose daughter, like, get this, his daughter is a host for a guy who's a gamer. So I think he's on, like, Twitch. So as this guy is gaming, here, this young lady is in a hot tub in a bikini, and she's making money. They're making money because people are watching them and donating money. Couple of years ago, I heard about a guy named that goes by the name Dr. Disrespect. He's a gamer. He's on Twitch. So I go on there and I'm watching this, and this guy is playing, like, Call of Duty, whatever video games he's playing. And as he's playing this game, people are actually donating money. So it's popping up. It's $1, it's $2, it's $5, it's $10, it's $50. And this guy is making revenue because he has a camera in front of him and he's gaming.
Right. I mean, that's even for me, I'm 42 now. I'm like, what? We have one of our guys, Ethan here. He ran a gaming channel for a guy out of Chicago, and they made like millions of dollars by training other people, how to do that on a professional level, right? So I don't understand because I'm just not that person. I have been a video gamer myself when I was younger, even like into my 20s and stuff, but never to that level because I was never that good because I guess I had to go to work.
Yeah.
So but then coming back to that now it is even for people that want to be a professional gamer, there's a market for that now.
Huge market.
It's like I don't understand, but there's like it's entertainment for other people, and for them to give that guy $1 or $2 because they feel entertained, it's all right. And then also like the whole like training, online courses and stuff like that. It's big, and then if you find your niche, you will find people that give you money.
Like I had said earlier, people don't read, they watch.
Right.
So there's entertainment for people who want to watch some guy playing Call of Duty and using all type of profane language. And then there's a guy who's playing a game, and there's this young lady who's in a hot tub with a bathing suit on. The media has changed in ways that are just incredible. I go back a little bit in television, and I remember when cable started out. And I started working in television as soon as I graduated. I have a degree in television, film, and radio. And my first job was as a master control operator, along with doing stuff in the studio. So I'm the guy who would insert the tapes that would post up on the air. And I had to keep a running log of the of the commercial insertion. There used to be a big pie, and it was ABC, CBS, and NBC. That was it. So they had all the advertising revenues. And if people don't understand how television works, it works based on who has the best ratings for that, what we call the book, the ratings period, Nielsen. And when cable came along, all of a sudden that pie got smaller and smaller. So instead of a television station, if they were number one in that market at 5 o'clock, being able to charge somebody, let's just say $6,000 for a 30-second spot, all of a sudden they have to compete with all these other people, and all of a sudden that pie got smaller and smaller and smaller. And let me tell you what happened. They could not grasp the 18 to 35 demographic group. This is why you started to see a change in what was on television, like The Real World on MTV. They were going after the 18 to 35-year-old because they were not watching the typical programming that had been on. To me, social media was kind of a spinoff to that because your demographic groups for Instagram is different than your demographic group for Facebook. Facebook tends to be, and as I heard him say, oh, that's for old people.
Well, I mean, I think yes, but still everyone is on it. Like even even the younger guys who are like our podcast producer, for example, like he was 20, right? He was on Facebook. So people are on there too. It's like Facebook is like a different kind of animal because Facebook has developed into this like massive, like I have groups, the community in groups in Facebook is like unmet anymore.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's basically where all the forums went to.
Yes.
Like remember like back in the days where we had the
boards?
message board?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, all right, so we had all those forums, they're all away, most of them, right? But now we have Facebook groups. And
I'll even take it further. Chat rooms.
Yeah, they're gone.
Gone. What happened to chat rooms? I used to be in chat rooms.
Yeah, me too.
And
it was like also, okay, but like I said, coming back to, those times were the Wild West of the internet, right? Chat rooms were so anonymous that, there was a lot of sketchy shit going on there.
Right.
I remember like there was a lot of people like doing drug deals on him and, like a lot of stuff, like people thought they could just like, attack people, like verbally, of course, but like, do that because they were hiding behind their
keyboard
user XYZ 945, right? So that's something where, that's gone. Like the internet is not that anonymous anymore. Still to a degree.
To a degree,
but
yeah.
like, nowadays, like people communicate through their Facebook profile. And yes, you can put a wrong name in there and stuff like that. But most people still are there with their own, very own honest persona, right?
Right.
Same is true for Instagram. A little bit different on Instagram than on Facebook. It's a little bit more anonymous because it's also like just visual. Like you don't really do text only posts and stuff like that. You don't go there to cry that, you just got separated from your boyfriend and shit like that. That's different. But, then you have other platforms where, you can be very anonymous, like Snapchat, for example. That's weird. Like I just recently tried again. I never really landed there. It's weird to me. It's like the stuff that comes in, it's all porn, and it's like it's weird, right? And then I'm thinking, it's like my children are on there too. This is like, I don't want that really, but it is what it is. So the whole landscape of social media, and you mentioning demographics is like, well, we have the very old people. I'm talking very old people that are still on television. Right. And then we have the old people, but, they barely understand social media. They're all on Facebook. And then you have everyone else, like demographics, like let's say, younger than 49. Right. And they're everywhere. And then you have like niches where it's like, okay, so, TikTok, that was for the first 2 years or for the first year or so, it was just teenagers. Right.
Right.
And then I'm on there. I'm like, all right. And then my wife asked me, why are you on there? Right. I was like, well, there's a lot of content there from people that are my age or older. And she's like, that's not what I hear. Average. What? I was like, look at this. Like, none of those people are young. It evolves because you're like, oh, all right. That's for me too. I want to do that. That's like very, it's not boring. Let's put it like that. It's this 3, 4, 5, 7-second clips, sometimes 15, where it shows you what you're interested in, right?
It wasn't that long ago, 20 years or more, infomercials. People were putting together 5, 10-minute, 20-minute infomercials, and they were on maybe QVC or something like that, but they realized something about the human brain right here, is that a lot of times, especially now, people are not going to sit and watch that stuff. They want to see a 30-second clip, 20-second clip.
Yes and no at the same time. So the infomercials, that's all direct response marketing, right? And that's still there. It's still, today, it's just somewhere else. It's now on YouTube. That's exactly what it is. It's direct response. It's lives now on YouTube and Facebook. It works. Nothing works better in the world than direct response marketing. You get people that are interested in that, in whatever you show. You get them to stay. So me, I love those infomercials. I was watching those dubbed in Germany when I was a kid. I was like, man, that's so great. Here's the weird part, right? They were showing us this, but you couldn't buy it here. Like you couldn't buy it in Germany. Okay. That was just like, they put it on because that was entertaining. I was like, all right, that's entertaining. I see all those products. You couldn't buy them in Germany. They were not shipping that to Germany. So it was just on air, but you couldn't actually buy it. It was just entertainment only. That weird. People would, like, tons of people would watch that.
It's interesting to hear your perspective from having lived over there from Germany, because I always wonder how people perceive things in other parts of the world. Companies have looked for other ways. And I've done, I can't tell you, probably several thousand Facebook ads. And to see what works and what doesn't work, it's always good to do A/B testing to see, well, maybe this ad will work, maybe this ad works better. And you have to know your audience too. I mean, YouTube is just an animal. I love YouTube. I have a friend who's teaches graphic design back at a college in the university in California. And he said one day he was in class and his students said something about 2-bit. And he didn't know what they meant by 2-bit. And he said, what are you talking about? He says, YouTube it. So where do people go to find out about how to do something?
Right.
YouTube.
YouTube University. That's like
YouTube. Yeah.
it's YouTube
Yeah,
University.
yeah.
You know, it's like I mean, I learned so many things on YouTube. You know,
Yeah.
the value you get from most videos. You know, I'm a teacher on YouTube too. You know, I do have 2 YouTube channels. One, I teach people how to do PLC programming. You know, I have like 3,000 subscribers. That's not the world, but it's also not that bad. You know, I have a YouTube channel where I teach people from Europe how to get to the United States legally and work here on a work visa because we need people. Guess what? It works, you know, and it's like a great tool for, you know, for content marketing also, you know.
Right.
So I make money with both of those channels. And I'm not talking about the money I get from YouTube for ads.
I know
I'm
you-
talking about the money that people that follow me
Right.
send me or like buy my products and services because they know they can trust me because I showed them that I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So YouTube, basically now your one of the tools for direct response marketing is like, or content marketing, if you will. You put the content out there, you help them for free. And then at some point you're like, you know what? Here's an ad because I also need to eat. So,
Right.
and then, you know, you send something out, they already know you, and you can lead them down a rabbit hole where it's like, okay, here's stuff that you can buy from me, right? Here's a little bit of this, here's a little bit of that. That's all like available for you if you have the money, right? Do you have the money? Yes. Then give it to me. I take it off your hands. It's dirty anyways, right? So, or they don't have it, then I might have a product that is like not that expensive, but still helps them, you know? So, but then again, like coming back to like the infomercials, right? What is a YouTube channel today? If you have a business, if you use it correctly,
You have
it's
to have.
it's an infomercial.
Yeah, it's a huge.
It's a
huge
you know, like a once a week infomercial. Like I do once a week. You know, at this point I mostly do lives, meaning like it's like you can ask me stuff. I'm real. You know, here's my phone number if you want, call me, you know.
Right.
I mean, if you have the money, right? I answer you if you don't have the money, and then I tell you to go get some money somewhere. I help you to make the money also because, you know, I'm in the helping business. But it's like
Right.
the direct response, the content marketing, the strategies that are available today, coming back to what we talked earlier, never been better
True.
for the little guy, right? For the little, I mean, who am I, right?
It has really balanced the playing field, because when I started working in television, oh my God, cameras were one camera, $40,000-$50,000. Now you can buy a complete studio for what, 15?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so yes, but those cameras you're talking about, they're still that expensive.
Well, yeah, yeah.
So-
But my point is this: you don't need to spend 40 or 50,000
Right.
anymore, and that's where things have really changed the
Yes.
landscaping, because you can go get a Sony 7. Or,
You don't even need that. You need this.
yeah.
You need that. That's all you need. It's like, I mean, this camera is like a beast.
Oh, it's incredible.
So like I don't know, like I can put it on like what's it called, cinema mode, and it's like it gives you like a bouquet and whatever. It's like that's all you need. You know, everyone has that in their pocket.
They're marketing tools.
Right.
They're marketing tools, and I always tell people, what tools do you have in your toolbox? If you don't use those tools, then those tools get rusty. I did a demonstration, or a video rather, for a sales presentation for a group of, it's a car dealer, it was a dealership. And there was like 40 or 50, about 40 guys or salespeople would be in the meetings every first Friday of the month. And here's what I did. I took video of them standing in front of a dealership. And for those of you who don't know, when you're a car dealer or a salesperson, you have what they call up. It's like a lineup. So on average, you might get 1 to possibly 3 opportunities to greet somebody as they're walking up to the dealership to potentially sell them a car. And I said this. So the video was basically somebody in the ocean with a single fishing pole. And then I came with added a video of a guy out in the ocean, out in the bay, throwing a net. and getting dozens of fish. And so my point was this: if you're not using the internet, if you're not using social media, because I can hit send, 3,000 people will see that. But if I'm standing in front of a dealership and it's 95 degrees outside, and one person comes up and says, and the salesman may say, "Hi, may I help you?" And the person may say, I'm going to the parts department." You're done. You have to learn how to work smarter and not harder. And these tools that we've been talking about are all tools. Social media is a huge tool. A lot of businesses, I'm on social media 7 days a week. I have gone to businesses' social media page and it's dormant. There's nothing going on. Nothing has been posted since June, which is really bad for anybody in terms of algorithms, because if they don't see a constant participation posting, it just drops like this. I've seen social media pages where there's no content other than a photograph. And there's somebody here in town, I'll tell you about it later. I was like, oh, these guys need help. So if you have the tool, make sure if it's a knife, make sure that knife is sharp. Make sure you use that knife on a consistent basis. Yep. Make sure you keep that knife sharp, because once it gets dull, and then if you start looking at your competitors and what they're doing, you may come to realization, oh my God, I'm missing out. I have a very good friend back home in Michigan, and he is a personal trainer. I'm not going to mention his name, but he is incredible what he does. He's got some champion bodybuilders. And what I told him, I looked at the social media, I said, you should be doing this, 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 and this. And of course, a lot of people can manufacture. They can make incredible products, but they don't know how to market. It's like the old saying, you could have a cure for cancer, but if nobody knows that it's available, it does you no good. Right. So how do you market your product? Social media, YouTube, which is part of social media, all those tools.
I mean, YouTube is very special because YouTube is really a search engine, right?
Yeah.
Like second biggest search engine in the world, part of Google. If Google knows that there's a video about a search term, it will show it to you
first.
So, it's like really like the top.
Right.
It's free. It's not an ad. There's a video about that topic. Do you want to watch it? No, there's another video. Sometimes even they go as deep as like show you the search phrase is somewhere in the video, in this 40-second clip, in the 5-minute video, and they already present you just that snippet.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when you post, what people don't understand, when you're writing your title for a YouTube video and your description, it's very important that you use the right key phrases so that Google will search those phrases.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I worked at an auto group, and it was a Toyota dealership, and I did a video called Toyota Salesman. Why did I pick that term? Because I knew that term was searched, and I knew that video would get a lot of views. And I haven't looked at it in a long time. I think the last time I looked at it, I can't remember if it was 100,000 or it might have been 1 million views. You have to know how to write the title, what the description should be, what are the keywords. If you're doing a video on...
Also like the, you have to put the chapters in. So if you type in like a time, meaning like, let's say you want a chapter starts at like minute 1 and 30 seconds. You type in 1:30 and then write what it was about. Google will pick up on this and then show the people just that chapter if the key phrase is like matching with that. So that's very important to do that if you want to optimize for search.
Right. All these things are... social media is, I call it an animal. They can be really wild, or if you learn how to tame it and how to use it properly. It's a great tool. I have seen one of the things I did. I did a video on when the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro came back. They had stopped making it for a couple of years, and we got one at the dealership. And I put together this quick walk around video with this car salesman. no more than maybe a minute. Put it on all the social media platforms as well as YouTube. The salesman, this was on, I believe it was on a Thursday or a Friday. The next week, like Monday or Tuesday, the salesman comes running in my office. He called, the guy called. And then I said, Zach, who are you talking about? He says, this guy saw this video on YouTube, was up in LA, drove down to San Diego and bought this truck. Now, this MSRP on that truck was $50,000. Because of the options and all the accessories that they put on this truck, they sold that truck for like $72,000.
Nice.
Now, here's what disappointed me. So I go to the sales meeting, have my presentation, even showed the video that was posted on YouTube. Most of the salesmen, the vast majority of them, didn't understand the importance of why that video is what they needed to do, or why videos are what they need to do. They're so used to standing in front of a dealership, waiting for someone to come up. So that video got watched by, I can't remember how many people on YouTube. I haven't looked at that video in probably more than a year. But that one video got that guy, that one salesman, a nice little profit, because he didn't have to really work.
Right.
I shot it, I edited it, I uploaded it. Boom, like that. So again, people need to understand, don't fish with a fishing pole in an ocean. You'll be there all day. You'll be sunburned.
Still hungry.
You'll be hungry. You might get seasick. But if I got a net as an internet, throw that net out there. You'd be surprised how many people you can get from a podcast,
right,
from a YouTube page, from using the proper hashtags and tags. These are the tools. Again, I keep talking about the tools. Use those tools. Learn how to use those tools. Know what those tools are.
And then up the volume. Because the problem is, like, you're competing with all those, like, content, original. It's not original. Like all those reels and stuff like that, where they just like use this sound. They use the sound, put a nice picture. They're nice to watch. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are very inspiring. Some of them have some value to it, but they are not really like original content. They do that for fun. They do that for followers. They don't do that to sell you anything, right? That's but you're competing against those people.
Yes.
It's like something nice to watch, someone saying something in the background that is very motivational. How do you like do this like in a competition where you want to give some value to people,
right?
Like in a commercial setup, where it's like, okay, but eventually I want you to like know me and maybe buy from me, and I can only do that if my volume and the quality, like the value that I bring to you, not necessarily like the production value, but like the content value that I bring to you is good enough.
I tell clients I've worked with and companies I've worked with, you can't just push your product all the time. Product. You also, in my opinion, have to give them some information. Example, I keep talking about some of these videos I produced. There was I forgot what month is like Child Awareness Month, and we did a thing at the dealership I was working for, child safety seats. Something I never knew. Child safety seats, car seats, have an expiration date.
Yep.
After a certain year, you don't hand them down to
no.
You throw those things away.
Exactly, because the hardeners or the softeners in the plastic
break down.
They break down and they get brittle, and those car seats are not good anymore.
Right.
So
I shoot this video. I've got a lady came on. I can't remember what organization or agency was with. She showed the proper way to use a car seat. We had a parent I interviewed, and then of course we had the shots of all these used car seats that people donated to Goodwill, and it was like, no, and they show the expiration date. And I was amazed. So even though that is an automotive issue. We weren't selling them anything. We were showing them about safety and how this can affect your child's safety. Another thing we did, when the summer comes up, the whole thing about leaving your child in a car when it's hot outside. I did a video. I took a thermometer, big round clock with a hook on it, and hooked it to the window with a little suction cup, and put the camera on that window, and had a little clock like in the lower left-hand screen, and it showed how that temperature just kept going up and up and up and up and up. How it doesn't take long. So you're educating your fans or your followers. You don't always have to sell them stuff. You have to mix in something there. You don't this is just my approach.
That's the same. It's like, exactly. It's giving value for free, right? It's 80% should be free. And then the 20% you ask them for money. But I mean, not just for money, you give them something in return, right? It's like, but what I just had we had a meeting this morning, a discovery meeting with one of our industrial clients, where they were like, well, explain to me what this would do to me, like for my company. And I explained this, like, hey, this is supposed to give you like a way of like giving value, right? 80% of the time you give it away for free. You help customers, you establish your authority in the field you're in, that, when you go for a sale, then, they already trust you. Plus, what it also does is, like, if you give away free stuff on social media, you get the opportunity to retarget people that already watched your content.
Right.
So if you never do that, there's no one to retarget. So you have to have, it's all cold traffic. You want to have the warm traffic and the hot traffic where, people already signed up with their email address to your list, or at least like they have a cookie on their phone. Not the yummy ones,
not the chocolate
cookie,
chip ones.
right? Like a pixel, like a tracking tool, right? Whereas like I can identify you on Facebook or on YouTube and say, okay, if you watch my video more than, let's say, 75%, I would assume that you're interested in that topic, and therefore I can retarget you based on that, right? And say, hey, okay, you watched 5 of my videos, more than 75%. You're very hot traffic to me, so I spent more money on that, right? Because I know already you're very interested. You didn't only watch one video, you watched a lot of videos already. So those tools are available, but if you don't have the free traffic, right? That comes in, it's like, hey, here's my organic stuff, searchable content, especially on YouTube, but also on other platforms where, hey, I give you this for free, like in exchange for the data that I know now about you, that you're interested in this topic, right? No matter what it is, right? And then most people watch stuff. They want to learn something, and a lot of people watch it over and over and over again. Some people learn and they get perfect at that trait or at that task too. But a lot of people realize, hey, I don't actually have the time to put so much hours into this that I get really good at it. But I know that person is really good at that. Maybe I give him or her a call, and now you have a new client, right? That's like inbound calls, right? That's even better. It's like someone like knocking on your door and say, hey, I watched you now for I don't know how long. I tried, I can't do it. Can you do it for me? Or do you have someone that can do it for me? There's a new customer.
A lot of business owners, they don't have time. They really don't. Like what I was saying about some people can manufacture some great, incredible products. They're too busy doing design. They're busy talking to customers. They're busy with their staff. So when they have time, some of them want to do one thing, and that's just relax.
Either that, or if they have time, they don't have enough business. That's the other thing. It's like they're busy running their business, or they're not qualified to be the customer anyways.
True.
Mostly. It's like, if you have the time to do this here, for example, coming back to like our business here, if you have the time to do all that yourself, you're probably broke because you have so much time. Right? It's like, that's the thing. It's like, unless this is your business, this is, you should have other people doing that.
Right.
That's also like for us, our services here, we do this for other people too, the podcast and all that kind of stuff. This is only for people that already are rolling in money and they want more, right? This is not for like the startup business. You don't have the money for this here. So that's the point. It's like, this is not the product or service for you. Do it yourself. You have the time, right? But the ones that don't have the time anymore and they have the money and they want something like this too, and they want to grow from here to here, that's the client we want.
Right.
So that's very, very, very different.
Right.
All right, Hendrix, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate all the insights, especially also like, car dealerships. They're like, a good target for us, as a marketing company. I know a lot of things are changing for them. And, we interviewed a few, dealerships the last few weeks, and they're all saying the same thing. They want to get rid of TV and, doing something else. Because,
oh, boy.
It's just not working anymore.
No.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.